There are hundreds of cruise rankings online. Most are emotional, some are sponsored, and almost all of them are vague. So I built my own 10-point scoring system, and I ran every major cruise line through it. Each line earns 1 point per category. No half points, no nostalgia, no brand loyalty. Perform well, you get the point. Fall short, you don't. Then we rank them, worst to best. No fluff, no filler. Let's start at the bottom. Norwegian Cruise Line. Norwegian earns just 3 points out of 10, and honestly, the data made this easy. They lose the food category. Passengers on Cruise Critic consistently flag declining main dining room quality. And it's not just one ship, it's fleet-wide. They lose service. Crew reductions are being felt in real time. Reviewers describe staff as stretched thin and inattentive, a far cry from what NCL used to be known for. They lose ship condition, older vessels feel tired, and even the newer Prima-class ships are drawing complaints about cramped communal spaces and poor layout choices. One reviewer simply called Prima a disappointment. They lose value transparency, extra fees keep creeping in while inclusions keep shrinking, and on top of that, there are reports of last-minute itinerary switches, port days quietly swapped for sea days with little explanation. They lose entertainment. Broadway productions have been scaled back across several ships. Where do they score? Strong itinerary variety, that's genuinely one of NCL's strengths, and cabin updates on newer builds deserve credit. But the overall trend is moving in the wrong direction, and frequent cruisers are noticing. Norwegian Cruise Line finishes with a final score of 3 out of 10. MSC Cruises. MSC scores 4 out of 10, and this one's a classic case of beautiful hardware letting down a mediocre operation. They earn a point for ships. Newer vessels like MSC World Europa are genuinely stunning to look at. They earn a value point for competitive base pricing. They earn a cabin point, especially in the Yacht Club, which is a product within a product, and a genuinely good one. They earn an itinerary point for strong global deployment. Few lines go as many places as MSC. But then reality kicks in. Food consistency is a recurring failure. Passengers report repetitive menus, bland flavors, and lukewarm dishes, with one reviewer describing it as the worst cruise of their life. They lose service consistency. They lose crowd management. MSC regularly sails at very high occupancy, and it shows. And overall sentiment remains soft across review platforms. MSC finishes with a final score of 4 out of 10. Drop your cruise line in the comments and tell me if you think we scored yours fairly. We read every single one. And if this ranking saved you from a bad booking, hitting subscribe costs you nothing, but it helps us a lot. Carnival Cruise. Carnival also scores 4 out of 10. And right now, Carnival is fighting on 2 fronts, an aging fleet and passenger backlash over policy changes. Their new Carnival Rewards loyalty program, replacing the long-running VIFP club, has angered a lot of loyal cruisers. Switching from nights sailed to onboard spending is a significant shift, and people feel punished for their loyalty. They keep a point for energetic entertainment. Carnival's onboard atmosphere is still lively and it genuinely delivers on that promise. They keep an itinerary point, but they lose hardware. The fleet is aging and it shows in the cabins and public spaces. They lose value transparency with rising onboard prices. They lose cabin comfort on older ships. They lose service consistency. And that loyalty program backlash pulls down the overall sentiment score. Carnival Cruise Line ends with the final score of 4 out of 10. Princess Cruises. Princess lands in the middle with 5 out of 10. And this score perfectly captures where they are right now, caught between a genuinely exciting future and a frustrating past. They earn points for itineraries. Princess goes places others don't, and Alaska and World Voyages remain highlights. They earn a value point through Princess Plus packages. Bundled Wi-Fi, gratuities, and drinks genuinely move the needle on value perception. They earn hardware points for the Sphere-class ships, which are a real step forward. They earn cabin and entertainment points on newer builds. But here's the problem. Many guests report that older Princess ships feel dated, with complaints about air conditioning and plumbing issues that simply shouldn't appear in guest reviews in 2025. tech reliability under the Medallion class system still draws mixed feedback, and service strain is real. Princess Cruises finishes with 5 out of 10. Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean earns 6 out of 10, and this might be the most controversial score in the list, because Royal Caribbean does some things better than almost anyone, but they do other things in a way that actively annoys their own guests. They score for hardware. Icon of the Seas and the Oasis class are genuinely unmatched in scale and ambition. They score for entertainment, Broadway productions, aqua shows, ice skating. The onboard spectacle is real. They score for itinerary strength and private island access. Perfect Day at Coco Cay is a legitimate crowd pleaser. But then the experience cracks. They lose crowd management. These ships regularly sail above 100% occupancy, and passengers feel it everywhere, at the pool, at the buffet, in the lifts. Complaints about inconsistent service, overcrowded public areas, and a heavy upsell atmosphere are consistent across review platforms. They lose food consistency, they lose value transparency, and they lose service consistency under those passenger loads. Royal Caribbean ends with a final score of 6 out of 10. We're ranking cruise ship food next, and the results are going to upset some people. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Celebrity Cruises. Celebrity earns 8 out of 10 in multiple independent rankings, including Candid Cruise and Travel, currently place Celebrity at the top of the mainstream tier. The data backs that up. They secure food quality. The Edge class dining experience is consistently praised. They secure service consistency, even at scale. They secure hardware excellence. The Edge class ships are sleek, well-designed, and adult-forward. They secure atmosphere. No water slides, no mini-golf, no chaos. The emphasis is on upscale dining, themed bars, live music, and cultural itineraries. They secure entertainment refinement, cabin design, itinerary diversity, and a brand trajectory that's moving in the right direction. The one category they lose? Premium pricing creates a value transparency gap that keeps some cruisers on the fence. Celebrity Cruises finishes strong with 8 out of 10.
Virgin Voyages. Virgin Voyages also earns 8 out of 10, and if you've never sailed with them, the concept sounds gimmicky. Adults only, no buffets, drag bingo, until you actually look at what's included and what passengers are saying after they get off. They score in food, with over 20 unique eateries included in the base fare and no buffets anywhere on the ship. The culinary experience is genuinely elevated. We're talking pink agave for upscale Mexican. Passengers rave about the ribeye and a cheese sauce and the street-grilled corn. Extra virgin for Italian with house-made pasta. The Wake, a proper steakhouse with sea views that books out fast. And the Galley, which replaces the traditional buffet with made-to-order ramen, tacos, sushi, burgers, and more. The menus across these restaurants were created in collaboration with Michelin-starred chefs. That's not marketing language. You taste the difference. Fair warning, though. A handful of reviewers on the newest ship, Brilliant Lady, flagged some early inconsistency. A few dishes missing the mark on their debut sailing. That's worth watching as Brilliant Lady finds its feet. They score in value transparency. Gratuities, Wi-Fi, and basic beverages are included in the base fare, so you're not boarding and immediately opening your wallet. Virgin estimates over $1,000 in value is bundled into every sailing before you spend a penny on board. Shore excursions, alcohol, and spa treatments cost extra, but at least you know that going in. They score in adult atmosphere. Strictly 18 and over, no exceptions. The result feels less like a cruise ship and more like a floating modern boutique resort. No kids clubs, no water slide queues, no early dinner seatings. The energy on board reflects that entirely. They score in hardware and cabin design. The signature red hammock on every sea terrace balcony has become the iconic image of the Virgin Voyages experience, and it genuinely lives up to the photos. 86% of all cabins have a balcony, which is extraordinary for a cruise ship. They score in entertainment uniqueness. Virgin has announced headline performances from acts like Melanie Sporty Spice Chisholm for 2026 sailings, alongside the immersive unconventional programming the line built its reputation on. This isn't a cruise director with a microphone, it's a full creative production team. They score in service consistency and free group fitness classes. Yes, those are included too. The only real deduction, the fleet currently stands at 4 ships, and that small size means fewer itineraries than almost any other line on this list. You can't go everywhere with Virgin yet, but given the pace they're expanding, that may not be true for long. Virgin Voyages finishes with 8 out of 10. Disney Cruise Line. Disney earns 9 out of 10. And before anyone says this is bias, let's go through exactly why. They score in service. Disney maintains roughly 1 crew member for every 3 passengers across its entire fleet. That's a staffing ratio that most mainstream lines can't touch, and passengers notice. Reviews consistently describe staff as going well beyond what's expected, not just doing their job. They score in food. Specialty restaurants like Palo, Remy, and Enchanté receive consistent praise. Guests call out dinners at Remy as some of the best meals they've ever had at sea. Rotational dining, where your serving team follows you from restaurant to restaurant across the voyage, is a genuine differentiator that builds real connection. They score in entertainment. Broadway-caliber shows, first-run movies. The Disney Wish showed Freaky Friday 2 before its official theatrical release date. That's the kind of thing you simply can't get anywhere else on the water. They score in cabin design. The split bathrooms, separate toilet, separate shower sound like a small detail until you're a family of 4 trying to get ready in the morning. Passengers bring this up constantly, and for good reason. They score in hardware. The fleet now stands at 7 ships, with Disney Destiny launching in November 2025 as the 3rd Wish-class vessel, and 4 more ships are already on order through 2031.
This is a line actively investing in its future, not coasting on reputation. They score in private destination access. Disney operates 2 exclusive Bahamian destinations, Castaway Cay, a 1,000-acre private island, and Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, a 600-acre destination on Eleuthera, which opened in 2024. Both are accessible only to Disney guests. No shared beach days with 5 other ships worth of passengers. They score in crowd management, operational discipline, and overall guest sentiment. Repeat sailing rates at Disney are exceptionally high. These are people who've cruised before, know their options, and keep coming back. Now, the deductions, and we have to be fair here, because a 9 out of 10 still means something is missing. Premium pricing is real, and it's significant. Passengers report that Disney Cruises run 2 to 3 times the cost of comparable sailings on Royal Caribbean or Princess, and some guests feel the product doesn't quite close that gap anymore, particularly on the older ships. And itinerary reach is still limited. With 7 ships serving a global demand, Disney simply can't go everywhere. Caribbean and Bahamas dominate the schedule, and European sailings are limited and book out fast. Disney Cruise Line finishes with 9 out of 10. Viking Cruises. Viking earns a perfect 10, and if you've been paying attention, this probably isn't a surprise. Passenger reviews consistently praise Viking's ship design, spacious cabins, and top-tier service. Guests highlight the calm atmosphere, no casinos, no overcrowding, and plenty of quiet spaces. They score in food, in service, in hardware, in crowd control. Smaller ships mean you're never fighting 5,000 people for a sun lounger. They score in value transparency. Most things are bundled. You know what you're paying before you board. They score in adult-focused atmosphere, itinerary depth, sentiment trend, operational consistency, and cabin design. No casinos, no children, no overcrowding. What Viking has figured out is that luxury isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about removing everything that gets in the way. Viking Cruises finishes at the top with a perfect 10 out of 10. Now remember, this is a structured scoring system, not a personal diary. You might love a line that ranked low, you might hate one that ranked high, and that's completely fine. Different cruisers want different things, but based on operational performance across these 10 categories, this is where the data puts them today. If you think I scored a specific category wrong, tell me in the comments. Which line, which category, and why? That's how we make this system sharper. Subscribe to Cruise Advisor for rankings built on research, not hype. And I'll see you in the next one.